The vast emptiness of space stretched out before Captain Zorn's eyes as he piloted his scout ship through the asteroid belt near the primitive planet known as Earth. His antennae twitched with boredom. This was supposed to be a routine patrol, nothing more than a formality to maintain the Galactic Empire's watchful eye on the developing world. Earth, as far as the Empire knew, was centuries away from achieving interstellar travel. The humans had barely set foot on their own moon. For crying out loud, Zorn sighed, his mandibles clicking in annoyance. He'd much rather be back on Centauri Prime, sipping fermented nectar and watching the tri-sun set. A sudden beep from his console snapped Zorn out of his daydream. He blinked his compound eyes, focusing on the readout. Strange energy signatures were emanating from a particularly dense cluster of asteroids ahead. Probably just some weird radiation, Zorn muttered to himself. But protocol demanded he investigate. As Zorn maneuvered his ship closer, the asteroids seemed to shimmer. He rubbed his eyes, wondering if the long hours were getting to him. But no, there it was again. The asteroids were moving. Suddenly, the entire field of space before him rippled like water. Zorn's jaw dropped as the asteroids disappeared, revealing a sight that sent chills down his exoskeleton. A massive fleet of ships hung suspended in the void. But these were unlike any vessels Zorn had ever seen. Sleek, angular, and gleaming with an otherworldly metal, they made his own scout ship look like a child's toy. Impossible, Zorn whispered, his voice barely audible even in the confines of his cockpit. With trembling appendages, he activated his ship's advanced scanning equipment. The results nearly caused him to fall out of his seat. The technology of these ships was beyond anything in the Empire's database. Propulsion systems that defied known physics, energy shields that could withstand the heat of a dying star, and weapons that could vaporize entire planets. And there, on the hull of the largest ship, Zorn saw a familiar shape. The outline of the continents of Earth, surrounded by a circle of stars. This fleet, this incredible armada, belonged to the humans. Heart racing, Zorn opened a secure channel to Imperial High Command. "This is Scout Captain Zorn, ID 876X42. Priority 1 alert. I've discovered something. Something that changes everything." As Zorn transmitted his findings, alarms began blaring across the Imperial capital. Generals were roused from sleep, politicians scrambled from lavish dinners, and the Emperor himself was ushered into a secure bunker. The news spread like wildfire through the Empire. Earth, the backwater planet they had all but ignored, had been hiding the most advanced fleet ever seen. Debates raged in the Imperial Senate. How had the humans kept this a secret? What were their intentions? And most importantly, what should the Empire do now? Fear gripped many worlds. If Earth could hide such power, what else were they capable of? Some called for immediate action, to strike before the humans could pose a greater threat. Others urged caution, warning that provoking a civilization with such advanced technology could lead to the Empire's downfall. As the Imperial leaders argued, Captain Zorn remained at his post, watching the Earth fleet. He noticed something odd. Despite his presence, the ships made no move to intercept or communicate. They simply hung there, a silent testament to human ingenuity and the folly of underestimating a species. Zorn couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and admiration. In all his years of service, he'd never encountered anything like this. The humans, it seemed, were full of surprises. As the first day of this momentous discovery drew to a close, one thing was clear. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. Earth was no longer a primitive curiosity. It was a force to be reckoned with, a potential ally or a terrifying enemy. And Captain Zorn, the humble scout who had stumbled upon this secret, knew that his life, and the lives of every being in the galaxy, would never be the same again. The news of Earth's hidden fleet spread through the Galactic Empire like a supernova. Within hours, a delegation of high-ranking Imperial officials was dispatched to the Blue Planet, demanding answers. As their sleek diplomatic vessel entered Earth's atmosphere, Ambassador Xyla of the Galactic Empire felt a mix of fear and curiosity. How could these primitive humans have kept such a massive secret? The ship landed in an open field outside a city called Washington, D.C. A group of humans in dark suits waited nervously. Xyla noticed their tense postures and sweaty faces. These weren't the confident leaders of a super-advanced civilization. They looked scared. "Welcome to Earth," said a tall man, stepping forward. "I'm President Anderson. We have a lot to explain." Xyla's translator conveyed her words in a metallic voice. "Indeed you do, Mr. President. The Empire demands to know how you've hidden such advanced technology from us." Anderson sighed deeply. "Please follow me. It's a long story, and it's better if we show you." The human led the Imperial delegation to a nearby building. Inside, they entered an elevator that descended deep underground. When the doors opened, Xyla's 4 eyes widened in shock. They stood in a vast, high-tech control room. Humans in uniforms rushed about, monitoring giant screens showing the fleet that had caused such an uproar. An older human with gray hair approached them. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, head of Project Prometheus. What you've discovered is the result of nearly a century of secret work." Xyla's tentacles twitched with impatience. "Explain." Dr. Chen nodded and pressed a button. The room darkened, and a holographic display sprang to life, showing images from Earth's history. "It began in 1947, Chen said. A spacecraft crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. Despite public denials, we recovered advanced alien technology. This changed everything." The hologram showed scenes of scientists working on strange devices, their clothing and hairstyles changing as decades passed in seconds. "We realized we weren't alone in the universe," Chen continued, "and that we were hopelessly outmatched. So the world's governments made a decision. We would hide our progress, pretend to be primitive, while secretly preparing for the day we'd join the galactic community." Xyla's mind reeled. But the level of secrecy required. President Anderson stepped in. It wasn't easy. We had to control information, create fake space programs as cover, and unite the world in ways we never had before. But fear is a powerful motivator. The hologram now showed the construction of the fleet, built in hidden facilities throughout the solar system. "We've had help," Dr. Chen admitted. "Over the years, other alien ships crashed or visited. Some of their crew chose to stay, to help us prepare. They taught us, guided our research." Xyla felt a headache coming on. This changed everything the Empire thought it knew about Earth. "But why reveal yourselves now?" she asked. Anderson and Chen exchanged glances. "We didn't mean to," the president said. "Your scouts stumbled upon our fleet before we were ready. We've been debating for days about how to handle this. The original plan was to wait another 50 years, Chen added, to be sure we could stand as equals. Now, we're not sure what happens next." Xyla looked around the control room, seeing the fear and determination on the human faces. These weren't conquerors planning to attack the Empire. They were a young species desperately trying to survive in a dangerous galaxy. I must report this to my superiors," Xyla said, her voice softer now. "But I think it's time for Earth and the Empire to talk. Really talk." Anderson nodded, relief visible on his face. "We'd like that. We have so much to learn from each other." As Xyla prepared to leave, she took one last look at the images of Earth's fleet. The Empire had been shocked by its discovery, but now she was shocked by the story behind it. The humans had kept this secret for generations, united by a common purpose. It was impressive. Perhaps, Xyla thought, the galaxy had underestimated this young species, and perhaps it was time for that to change. The next day, a team of the Empire's top engineers arrived on Earth. Led by Chief Engineer Zach 7, they were eager to inspect the human fleet up close. Dr. Chen met them at a secret underground hangar, her face a mix of pride and nervousness. "Welcome to Hangar X," she said, We're about to show you technology that will change everything you thought you knew about physics. Zack-7's robotic eyes wavered as they adjusted to the dim light. We shall see, he said, his metallic voice skeptical. The massive hangar doors slid open, revealing a sleek spacecraft unlike anything the Imperial engineers had ever seen. Its surface seemed to shimmer, as if it wasn't quite solid. Dr. Chen smiled at their shocked expressions. This is the Nebula Striker, our flagship. Zack-7 approached the ship, his sensors working overtime. Impossible, he muttered. The hull, it's made of quantum-entangled nanomaterials. Dr. Chen finished for him. It can change its properties instantly, hard as diamond one moment, flexible as rubber the next. The Imperial engineers swarmed around the ship, their instruments beeping wildly. Zack-7 turned to Dr. Chen, his mechanical voice betraying a hint of excitement. How did you achieve this? The energy requirements alone should be. Dr. Chen led them to the ship's engine room. There, pulsing with an otherworldly light, was a sphere that seemed to defy reality. We call it the Omega Core, she explained. It harnesses energy from multiple dimensions. Unlimited power, zero emissions. One of the younger engineers, Vix-3, stepped forward. But that's just theoretical. Even our best scientists haven't. Dr. Chen interrupted gently. Your scientists didn't have 100 years of secret alien tech to study. For the next few hours, the human scientists demonstrated one marvel after another. Weapons that could disable entire fleets without destroying them. Shields that could withstand the heart of a supernova. Communication systems that worked instantly across any distance. Zack-7 watched in silence, his circuits nearly overloading from the influx of new data. Finally, he spoke. Dr. Chen, I must admit, we have gravely underestimated your species. Chen's face turned serious. That was the point, Chief Engineer. We knew we needed to be prepared when we finally revealed ourselves to the galaxy. Vix-3, the young engineer, couldn't contain her curiosity. But surely you could have conquered half the galaxy with this tech. Why hide? Dr. Chen sighed. Because we learned from the aliens who helped us. The galaxy can be a dangerous place. We didn't want to appear as a threat. We wanted to be ready to defend ourselves, yes, but also to contribute, to help make the galaxy a better place. Zack-7 processed this information. The humans had the power to be conquerors but chose to be potential allies instead. It was fascinating. There's one more thing we'd like to show you, Dr. Chen said, leading them to a small room off the main hangar. Inside, they found a group of human scientists gathered around a holographic display. On it, complex equations and diagrams swirled in a cosmic dance. This, Dr. Chen said with a hint of pride, is our current project. We believe we're on the verge of cracking the code for controlled wormhole creation. The Imperial engineers fell silent. If the humans succeeded, it would revolutionize space travel forever. As they left the facility hours later, Zack-7 turned to his team. Send word to the Emperor, he said. The humans are not to be underestimated. Their technology, it's beyond anything we've seen. And their potential. He paused, his robotic eyes flickering. Their potential is limitless. Back in the hangar, Dr. Chen watched the Imperial ship depart. She knew that the galaxy would never be the same. Earth was about to take its place among the stars, armed with technology that would change everything. The question now was, how would the rest of the galaxy react to this new player in the cosmic game? The Grand Hall of the Galactic Senate buzzed with tension. Representatives from 1,000 worlds filled the floating platforms, their voices a cacophony of different languages. At the center, Emperor Zorn XYI sat on his crystalline throne, his tentacles twitching with anxiety. Order, order in the Senate, boomed the voice of Grand Speaker Vex, his 4 arms waving for silence. As the noise died down, Ambassador Xyla stepped forward. All eyes turned to her as she began her report on Earth. Esteemed colleagues, she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. What we have discovered about Earth changes everything we thought we knew. For the next hour, Scylla detailed Earth's secret history, their technological advancements, and their reasons for hiding. The Senate listened in stunned silence. As she finished, chaos erupted. "They must be lying," shouted the Zorblaxian representative, his gelatinous body quivering with rage. "No species could advance so quickly." "It's a trick," hissed the serpentine delegate. "They plan to conquer us all." From his throne, Emperor Zorn raised a tentacle. The hall fell silent. "We have verified their claims," he said gravely. "The humans speak the truth." A murmur rippled through the crowd. The Emperor continued. "The question now is, what do we do about Earth?" The debate raged for hours. Some, like the warlike Krang, called for immediate action. "We must strike now," General Krang growled, pounding his chitinous fist, "before they can use their technology against us." Others, like the peaceful Luminarians, urged caution. "We should welcome them," said Ambassador Lux, her glowing form pulsing gently. "Think of what we could learn from each other." As the arguments heated up, a new voice cut through the noise. It was Zack 7, the chief engineer who had inspected Earth's fleet. "Senators, please," he said, his robotic voice calm. "I have seen Earth's technology firsthand. It is remarkable, but more importantly, I have seen their intentions." The hall grew quiet, all attention on Zack 7. "The humans could have conquered us years ago," he continued. "Instead, they chose to wait, to reveal themselves peacefully. They seek alliance, not domination." His words seemed to sway many, but not all. The Zorblaxian representative oozed forward. "And what if this is all part of their plan?" He gurgled. "Lull us into a false sense of security, then strike." Before anyone could respond, the grand doors of the Senate Hall burst open. A group of humans entered, led by President Anderson and Dr. Chen. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. No non-member species had ever entered the Senate chamber before. Emperor Zorn rose from his throne, his eyes wide. "What is the meaning of this?" President Anderson stepped forward, his face determined. "Your Majesty, esteemed senators, we apologize for this interruption, but we felt it was time we spoke for ourselves." Dr. Chen joined him. "We come in peace, and with an offer." The Senate watched in amazement as the humans activated a holographic display. It showed schematics for clean energy systems, advanced medical techniques, and faster-than-light engines. "We offer to share our technology," Anderson said, "to work together for the betterment of all species in the galaxy." The Senate erupted in a mix of excitement and suspicion. Emperor Zorn raised his tentacles for silence once more. "This is unprecedented," he said, his voice thoughtful. "We must consider carefully." As the debates resumed, now with the humans present to answer questions directly, the fate of galactic politics hung in the balance. In one corner, Ambassador Xyla watched with a mix of hope and worry. The humans had thrown the Empire into chaos, but perhaps, just perhaps, it was the shakeup they all needed. The future of the galaxy would be decided here, in this room, and for the first time in millennia. No one could predict what that future might hold. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a laser knife. On the bridge of the Earth ship Harmony, Captain Sarah Chen stood tall, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen. Beside her, Zack 7's metallic form gleamed under the soft blue lights. "Are you sure about this, Captain?" Zack 7 asked, his robotic voice tinged with what almost sounded like concern. Sarah nodded, a small smile on her face. "It's time to show the galaxy what humans and the Empire can do together, Zax." It had been 3 months since the tumultuous Senate meeting. After weeks of debate, a compromise was reached. Earth would gradually share its technology, and in return, they would join the Empire as equals. To seal the deal, a joint mission was proposed, a journey to the unexplored Nexus Nebula. The ship hummed to life, its omega core pulsing with energy. Around them, a mixed crew of humans and various alien species worked in harmony, each bringing their unique skills to the table. "Initiating wormhole drive," announced Lieutenant Kira, her four hands dancing over the controls. The view screen flickered, and suddenly the starfield was replaced by a swirling vortex of blue and white. "Impressive," Zach 7 noted. "Your wormhole technology is far more stable than ours." Sarah grinned. "Wait till you see what else we can do." The ship emerged in the heart of the Nexus Nebula, a riot of colors and swirling gases surrounding them. But something was wrong. Alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple unidentified ships approaching," shouted Ensign Blorp, his gelatinous form quivering. Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Hostile." Before anyone could answer, a blast rocked the ship. The view screen filled with sleek, predatory-looking vessels, their weapons charged. "It's the Void Marauders," Zach 7 exclaimed. "A pirate faction we've been chasing for years. They must have a base hidden in the nebula." Sarah's mind raced. This was supposed to be a simple exploration mission, not a battle. But as she looked around at her diverse crew, she saw determination in every face, and other sensory organs. "All right, people," she said, her voice steady. "Let's show these pirates what happens when you mess with the best of Earth and the Empire." Battle stations. What followed was a dance of technology and teamwork unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Earth's advanced shields absorbed hit after hit, while Imperial weapons fired with pinpoint accuracy. Zach 7 coordinated with the human engineers, combining Earth's Omega Core technology with Imperial targeting systems to create devastating energy pulses. Lieutenant Kira's multiple arms proved invaluable, piloting the ship through the nebula's treacherous gases while simultaneously managing defense systems. Even Ensign Blorp found his moment to shine, his malleable body squeezing into a damaged section to make emergency repairs. As the battle raged, Sarah noticed something on her tactical display. "There," she shouted. "Their command ship is hiding behind that gas giant. If we can take it out." Zach 7 finished her thought. "The rest will scatter. But how can we reach it through this firefight?" Sarah's eyes gleamed. "Remember that other thing I said we could do? Kira, initiate the phase shift." The entire ship shimmered, becoming translucent. To the amazement of the Imperial crew members, they passed right through the pirate ships and the gas giant itself. Emerging on the other side, they found themselves face to face with the surprised Void Marauder command ship. One well-placed shot from their combined weapons, and the battle was over. As the remaining pirate ships fled or surrendered, cheers erupted across the Harmony. Humans hugged aliens, tentacles high-fived hands, and even Zach 7's eyes seemed to glow a bit brighter. Sarah let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. They'd done it. Not just won a battle, but proved that Earth and the Empire could work together, each making the other stronger. As Zach 7 approached her, Sarah could swear she saw something like respect in his robotic gaze. "Captain," he said, "I believe this is the beginning of the most fascinating partnership." Sarah nodded, looking out at the colorful nebula and the mix of ships now surrounding them. Earth, Imperial, and captured pirate vessels. "Zach's," she replied with a smile. "I think you might be right." The Grand Hall of the Galactic Senate was packed to the brim. Representatives from every corner of the Empire had gathered to hear the report on the joint mission to the Nexus Nebula. The air buzzed with excitement and curiosity. Emperor Zorn Xi sat on his crystalline throne, his tentacles curled in anticipation. Beside him stood Ambassador Xyla, her antennae twitching nervously. "Bring in the heroes of the hour," the Emperor announced, his voice booming across the hall. The massive doors swung open. Captain Sarah Chen walked in, her head held high. Beside her strode Zach 7, his metallic body gleaming under the lights. Behind them came the rest of the mixed crew, humans and aliens alike. As they reached the center of the hall, Sarah stepped forward and bowed. "Your Majesty, esteemed senators, we bring news from the Nexus Nebula." For the next hour, Sarah and Zach 7 took turns explaining their mission. They described the unexpected pirate attack, the seamless teamwork between humans and aliens, and the incredible technologies that had saved the day. The Senate listened in rapt attention. Many gasped when they heard about the phase shift technology that allowed the ship to pass through solid matter. Others murmured in awe at the description of the Omega Core's power. When they finished their report, the hall erupted in applause. Even the skeptical Zorblaxian representative's gelatinous body rippled in what seemed like approval. Emperor Zorn raised a tentacle for silence. "Captain Chen, Zack 7, you and your crew have done the Empire a great service. The Void Marauders have been a thorn in our side for decades. But more than that, you've shown us the true potential of cooperation between Earth and the Empire." Sarah smiled, but she knew the real test was yet to come. It was time for the Senate to vote on Earth's full membership in the Empire. The Emperor continued, "Senators, you have heard the report. You have seen the evidence of Earth's capabilities and their willingness to work with us. It is time to decide. Shall we welcome Earth as full members of the Galactic Empire?" The voting process began. One by one, representatives from each world cast their votes. The tension in the room was palpable. As the last vote was cast, Grand Speaker Vex stepped forward to announce the result. By a majority of 82%, the motion passes. Earth is now officially a member of the Galactic Empire. Cheers erupted across the hall. Sarah felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. Earth was now part of something greater than they had ever imagined. But the celebration was short-lived. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Senate building. A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the hall, showing a massive fleet of unknown ships approaching the Empire's borders. "It's the Swarm," gasped the senator from the outer rim. "They've returned." Fear rippled through the crowd. The Swarm was an ancient enemy, a hive mind species that consumed entire planets. They hadn't been seen in millennia, and many thought they were just a legend. Emperor Zorn turned to Sarah and Zack 7, his eyes filled with worry. "It seems your first task as full members of the Empire has arrived sooner than we expected, Captain Chen. The Empire needs Earth's advanced technology, now more than ever." Sarah straightened her back, a determined look in her eyes. She glanced at Zack 7, who gave her a subtle nod. "Your Majesty," Sarah said, her voice ringing clear through the now silent hall. "Humanity has waited centuries for this moment. We hid our true capabilities, preparing for the day when we could make a real difference in the galaxy." She paused, looking around at the anxious faces of the senators. "That day has come. Earth stands ready to defend its new home among the stars." A cheer went up from the human members of her crew, echoed moments later by their alien comrades. Soon, the entire Senate was on its feet, their fear replaced by hope and determination. As Sarah and Zack 7 rushed out to prepare Earth's fleet for the coming battle, one thing was clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had proven its worth, and now they faced their greatest challenge yet. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire Empire, hung in the balance. The vastness of space was alive with light and chaos. Earth's hidden fleet, now fully revealed, fought side by side with the ships of the Galactic Empire against the endless waves of the Swarm. On the bridge of the flagship Unity, a joint creation of human and alien technology, Captain Sarah Chen stood tall. Beside her, Zack 7's metallic form hummed with activity as he coordinated the combined fleet's movements. "Swarm ships approaching Sector 7, shouted Lieutenant Kira, her forehands flying over the controls. Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Deploy the phase shift missiles." A volley of shimmering projectiles launched from the Unity, passing harmlessly through friendly ships before solidifying inside the Swarm vessels, destroying them from within. "Impressive," Zack 7 noted, his robotic voice tinged with what could almost be called admiration. The battle raged for days. The Swarm's numbers seemed endless, but the combined ingenuity of Earth and the Empire proved to be a formidable defense. Earth's advanced shielding protected vulnerable planets, while Imperial mass drivers hurled asteroids at the largest swarm ships. Humans worked alongside aliens, each bringing their unique strengths to the fight. As the tide of battle began to turn, Sarah noticed something odd. "Look at their flight patterns," she said, pointing to the tactical display. "They're not random. It's almost like a dance." Zack-7 finished, his sensors whirring. "Captain, I believe they're trying to communicate." Sarah's mind raced. What if they had misunderstood the swarm's intentions all along? In a decision that would change the course of galactic history, she opened a channel. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of Earth and the Galactic Empire. We wish to communicate." For a moment, there was silence. Then, a strange melodic series of tones filled the bridge. Slowly, impossibly, they began to form words. "We seek understanding." The voice of the swarm echoed. What followed was a revelation. The swarm, it turned out, was not a mindless conquering force, but a curious hive mind seeking to learn about other forms of life. Their attacks had been clumsy attempts at interaction. With Earth's advanced communication technology and the Empire's vast knowledge of galactic species, a dialogue began. The battle turned into the greatest cultural exchange the galaxy had ever seen. Months later, in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Senate, beings from across the stars gathered once again. But this time, among them stood representatives of the swarm, their shimmering forms a stark contrast to the varied aliens around them. Emperor Zorn Xi, his tentacles waving gently, addressed the assembly. "My fellow beings, today marks a new era for our galaxy. Thanks to the bravery, wisdom, and technology of Earth, combined with the strength and diversity of the Empire, we have not vanquished an enemy, but gained a new ally." Cheers erupted from every corner of the hall. Sarah, standing with her crew, felt a surge of pride. This was why Earth had hidden for so long, preparing for the day they could make a real difference. As the celebrations continued, new alliances were forged. Earth's technology, combined with Imperial resources and swarm adaptability, promised to solve problems that had plagued the galaxy for eons. Plans were made to explore distant galaxies, to learn and grow together. Later, as Sarah stood on an observation deck, watching ships from 100 worlds dance among the stars, Zack-7 approached her. "Captain," he said, his mechanical eyes focusing on the spectacular view. "When we first discovered Earth's fleet, I calculated the probability of a positive outcome at less than 12.7%. Sarah smiled. "And now?" Zack-7 was silent for a moment. "Now, I find that the possibilities are infinite." As they watched a group of human children play with young aliens and small swarm drones, Sarah felt a sense of wonder. Earth had hidden in fear, preparing for war. Instead, they had found friendship, adventure, and a galaxy full of possibilities. The stars shone brightly, promising a future where the best of humanity would help shape the destiny of all. Earth's hidden fleet had shocked the Galactic Empire, but together they had transformed the galaxy itself. As a new ship, crewed by humans, aliens, and swarm, launched on a mission to a distant galaxy, Sarah knew one thing for certain: the greatest adventures were yet to come.